Hello, everybody. We are live for Ask the Coaches. Thank you so much for joining us for another Sunday. And in this Ask the Coaches, I'm blessed to have Coach Bonnie with me. And we are going to be talking about growing little minds and the importance of children, not like small minded people, but actual children and growing minds with them. So before we get started, I do want to do, Bonnie, if you'll just do a quick introduction of yourself. And then do not forget, everybody, to please continue to like, subscribe, and share. And if you have a comment or a question during this time, feel free to leave it in the comments below. So let's get started. How are you today, Coach Bonnie?
I'm doing well, thank you. Just saying, really enjoying this weather we have in Rhode Island. Finally, it feels like Memorial Day and summertime coming up. So finally getting some sun and just change of scenery from inside the house.
Yes, I agree so much. And I already seen that Mike has popped on and saying, good to see y'all. Good to see you as well, Mike. Thank you for joining. So, Bonnie, quickly just tell about yourself and who you are.
Sure. I am a health coach with WorkSpe. Also, my background is in mental health, working with both adults and children. And I'm a mama to two little boys, so I really focus a lot on caregiver health, I'll say, and how to kind of keep yourself in mind as you are caring for the little ones.
Mm-hmm. It's that care for the caregiver, because at times it is so needed. So let's go ahead and just hop on into this. Growing little minds. Little minds are curious. How do we keep that curiosity for kids? Because the one thing that hurts me the most is seeing adults not live in their curiosity, or like asking why, or not being eager to like learn more. They kind of get into this fixed mindset sometimes at a certain age. So how do we foster curiosity and make it continuing for kids?
So I'm thinking of little kids and how they are always asking why, the big why question, and how that can seem really irritating to caregivers. I'm just going to say, usually parents, but anyone really who's spending a lot of time with kids, and to not let that annoyance get in the way of engaging in the conversation with them. And that goes for any age really, but I think as they get a little older, it becomes a little less tedious with the constant whys. But still, if you start at a young age and continue as they grow older and they feel comfortable asking questions and being curious and engaging in those conversations, they're going to like it and they're going to continue to do it. Whereas if you shut it down or tell them to stop, or why are you asking me that, that right there is putting a stop to their curiosity, like quite literally. So yeah, I mean, my mind immediately goes to try not to let your own reaction to whatever they're asking you stop you from engaging in the conversation with them, and ask them why. If they're playing a game, try to come up with some sort of question. Like my son right now is obsessed with fire trucks, and he's the fireman. He wants to save and help everyone. And I just think that's amazing. He's only 2.5. So yeah, just to long story short, I ask him a lot of questions about that.
Yeah, the one thing I see in that too is that, I've caught myself, because mommy said so, but it's like, I can't think right now. It's 8 a.m., and it's like, let me have my coffee first. But I also see going into the workplaces where I see adults telling their employees same thing. And that's the thing. It's like, because I said so, because the corporate said so, but how that feels personally, and just knowing that that's probably how the kid feels at the same time, and just going the easy dominance instead of actually telling them and answering the curious questions. So I absolutely love that, what you're saying about it.
That's a great analogy. And like I was saying, I think it follows you throughout your life, like how you were responded to when asking questions from the very beginning.
And I know that we talked on before we got on here, and it was about the other thing is that kids, they take advantage of the moment. Like it could be good or bad, but it's like this lack of fear that they have for things. It could be even to love. Like my daughter, she is notorious for hugging anybody I smile at, and I smile like it's my way. And or my son, he'd be like, "You smiled and waved at them. Do you know who they are?" I'm like, "No." So, but it's people. Um, but she is not. She hugs people. She just loves people, but she has no fear comparative to other people that it's like, oh, you can't, something bad's gonna happen, whatever. So how can we help with the fear aspect that comes with kids and keeping their innocence? Somebody said, and this is what I've stole his quote ever since, but he said, I want to have the innocence of an 8-year-old and I don't give a damn of an 88-year-old. And yes, but that's what it is. How do we help them keep their innocence and the lack in that fear? Like they don't really have it at that age.
That's a really tough question because I feel like we need to balance it with having them engage in the appropriate safety behaviors, to put it kind of formally. But you want them to be respectful of certain situations that may not be the safest, but without instilling like this unnecessary fear in them. And it's really finding that fine line. And there's just so much access to information that kids have nowadays. Like, how do you limit that so that they stay innocent for as long as they can?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really tough question. I think as parents, we need to pay attention to what our kids are paying attention to and not let it be a free-for-all of whatever they want to see, they can see. Have real honest conversations with them, ask them what they think, because they're going to know, like, especially in 8-year-olds, they're going to know what's happening in the world.
Oh yeah.
Especially now, there's so much going on and it's what everyone is talking about. So you want them, I'm tying it together with a curiosity, to ask the questions and have honest conversations with them where is there the area where you do need to be protective of yourself versus what's really not. Don't instill the unnecessary fear that so many people tend to go towards, because I just feel like it leads to anxiety and more mental health issues that are just not necessary.
Yeah, I talked the other day with my son, and we were talking about our strengths and weaknesses. And we were talking about different people. And I'm a thinker, like I'll stay up at night and thinking. And he's like, well, what about Pawpaw? What is he? I was like, he'll stay up thinking too. And he goes, what about me? And I was like, well, you don't do that because you don't have all these burdens and these thoughts that you have to carry. And then I thought, man, wouldn't that be nice, to not have that fear and that again, go back to the innocence of that 8-year-old or 9-year-old as he is. But also I'm blessed that he did have the self-awareness to be asking those curious questions. Because James or Mike, you put a good point right here. If you don't answer them, beware that somebody else may. And that's so true.
So true. That's a really good point.
Because I've seen that time and time again where people, they're going to get their answers one way or another because they're kids. The curiosity is going to keep coming. And even going back to employees, they're going to get their answers or they're going to leave, So it doesn't matter which way. I say a lot of times that I work with a lot of people that are just grown children. Like I'm even a grown child. There's a lot of things that, are built in from our childhood that we keep with. But some of them we don't keep that should, like having fun. That's another one. I think everybody should have fun at work. I think everybody should have fun. It's not like all the time. It's not rainbows and butterflies. But if you can make things fun, why not? So let's talk about that. Like, how can we keep things and spark that for kids going forward, to make work fun, to make chores fun, to make things fun, or find ways that they can be creative in the process?
I just keep going back to the curiosity. I mean, and the fact that they're fearless and they don't have all of these burdens that we as adults tend to harp on. And to use the word unnecessarily, some people may not appreciate that, but we have the ability to decide what we're going to be thinking about and when and how we're going to let it impact us, not
Mhm.
necessarily what is happening, but how we respond to it.
Mhm.
And I just think staying mindful, you're modeling that for your children to stay mindful in the moment is key to have fun,
Mhm.
to enjoy what you're doing because you're not thinking about, oh, I should have done that differently, or, oh, I wonder if that's going to go in the future. So really bringing that mindfulness into it, I think, is 100% necessary to maintain that sense of fun, curiosity, um, and hopefully have it follow them throughout their lives into the adulthood and into the workplace. So that's one thing. I just, as adults, we are models for them. So
Mhm.
if you're having fun, then they see that that's okay and that's nourishing to them as well because they want to be doing that with you. Setting up opportunities for that to happen throughout the day naturally. So it's not constant, you need to get this done and you need to get that done. Um, I like a good schedule, but sometimes the schedule prohibits that free fun that comes so naturally to kids. So just trying to find that balance throughout the day. And again, it's hard, especially now. A lot of us are home a lot more with our children while also trying to work, and everyone's just trying to do everything all at once. You gotta leave time and space for the fun.
Mhm. I love
Mhm.
that. The other thing that I think about is how kids are very good at listening to their bodies. Like, if they're hungry, they have these senses or whatever. My daughter, when she's hungry, she just goes and she gets something. It's like they have, and that's what I know that some. I'll say on the reverse. I've heard that some people are like, you can tell that their kids are boredom eating too. Um, but
True.
what are some of the things that the kids, and how do we develop them to continuing to listen to their bodies during this time of when they need to go to sleep, or when, like, man, I wish I could just take a nap like I used to, but and if they don't listen, you know how whiny they get. So um talk about that for a minute, about the importance of them doing that.
Sure. Well, you mentioned naps and being whiny. I think that some of this has to do with age, but just in a more general sense, I'm really, really big on the food thing when it comes to my children and just children in general, really. Not even just children, but adults, and listening to your body. And be really careful about how you respond to them. One example that I think of is if they ask for more. Say you have pasta and broccoli for dinner, and their broccoli is untouched, and they're asking for more pasta. And I think as adults, we immediately think, okay, pasta bad, broccoli good. And that's not the best way to ensure that the kids are continuing to listen to themselves. Maybe they need more pasta because pasta has more energy, more protein, more carbs. Not necessarily protein, but more carbs. Um, so asking the question, how do you feel? How does your belly feel? Versus, do you think you really need more pasta? Um, Little things like that, how you respond to how they're responding. If you don't take a rest right now, how do you think you're going to feel later? Not, you're going to be cranky later, or I'm not going to want to deal with you later.
Mm-hmm.
Really careful about all those sorts of things. Or, so later we're going to be going to grandma's house. Do you think you'll have the energy to do that? Do you think you'll want to play if you don't rest now? Like, just asking the questions and leaving it up to them a little more than within guidelines. Obviously, certain ages you want to make sure they're resting and taking a nap, but not putting all these limitations on them
Mm-hmm.
without either explaining yourself why or having them have a say in it.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Really big on the food thing. I just think that starting from a young age, there's a way that to develop a healthy habit with food and listening to your body that is just so crucial to having
It
a
is, because that's what we end up talking to adults a lot, as what they wish they were taught in their younger days, is what I get told a lot. Um, and this is the other thing, that you cannot expect your child to be any better than you are if you don't teach them or show them. So, what are some of your favorite things that you were taught, or that you are adamantly or diligently trying to teach your kids to grow their minds so that they can thrive and be successful in the future?
I'm still kind of harping on the on the food thing, but that's just the first thing in my mind. Like, you don't need to finish your plate. That's my big thing. You don't. It looks like such an old school piece, but that's number one. Listening to yourself and trusting yourself, and that carries over to every aspect of their lives. To be able to think for themselves and trust what they're thinking and how they feel. Ask them how they feel, not tell them how they feel.
Nope, that's a big one right there.
Really, it really is. And to let them feel those feelings and have it be okay. I have 2 sons. So for me, it's really big to make sure that they know it's okay to cry and to show emotion and to, hey, you're sad. Like it's okay. You can label that. But you can't throw things. You can't hurt people. And I have a toddler, so we're really practicing that right now. To acknowledge what's okay and maybe what's not acceptable and what's not okay. Because there are some things you're not going to be throwing toys at people when you get mad and when you get older.
And it's that test and boundary phase too that I know that yours is in right now. But I will tell you something that was really unique. And I'm doing, starting next week, we are doing a series. It's that surviving quarantine by spreading life, but we've changed it up and now it's going to be unapologetically bold. I'm not sorry for. There's literally a guy coming on and he said, I'm not sorry for being vulnerable me. It took him at what he called it. He said, it took me to a midlife awakening to realize, instead of a crisis, to realize I have feelings and it's okay as a white man to feel, you know, because too many times it's like suppress, be stoic, be these feelings, but don't show them, you know, be all these different pressures. And that starts at a young age, you know.
Really young. And it's just not human. So that's going to come out somehow. It's not possible to stifle all of that and have it be okay. Like it's not. And it's interesting because my husband is not that way, but I catch him saying certain things like, oh, don't cry.
Yeah.
And it just comes like, it's just so in our society. So just a little bit of awareness sometimes is all it takes to, and you don't have to be perfect. No one's perfect, but just being aware of it helps.
And I'll say some of my favorite things that I do is gratitude. My kids every time, and we also, if you can do this, I know that some people are like, it's too far gone. We sit at the dinner table every night and we eat dinner together, 5:30 every day. So after this ends, we will go sit at the table and we will eat, and maybe at 6 on Sundays, but we still all sit together. And whenever we sit, we ask 2 questions typically. One is, what are you grateful for? And we say, wasn't it cool when? And you talk about during the day, what wasn't it cool when? Because it's a prompt. Because what was your favorite thing today? For some reason, like that does not prompt. And then my goal in this is to teach them to tell stories, because stories are so impactful. And that's how you communicate more effectively, is what I found. But the gratitude is something too, like let's name 3 blessings, like for today. What were 3 blessings about today that you love that was different, you know, than yesterday or whatnot? So, and this is a bad one too. And I don't know if I should harp as much as I do. I cannot stand facial expressions that are not necessary. So, my son, if something like I want him to, I'm like, smile. Your life is not over. So if he gets in trouble, he's gotten this thing because I can tell that he's been around some family members that can like fall into his thing of like hurt puppy dog, whatever you tell him no. I'm like, you're not. Like, I told you no. I'm being respectful to you. I'm not like yelling at you. I'm telling you no, you can't do it. Your life's not over. Smile.
Right.
Smile. Just smile. I'm like, be grateful. Be grateful for this moment. Be grateful for the things that you have. So, what are some things that, I know that you have toddlers, but just what are some things that you think are the most important, that if you could give like any advice to parents about growing little minds, what would be like your top like 3 things that you would say? And then also, anybody feel free to ask questions if you have any. I know we're right close to our 20-minute mark, but feel free to ask any questions about raising kids. Again, Bonnie has a background in psychology. She is a counselor, and then she is also a coach for WorkSpeed that works on the life coaching, stress management, and some other areas too. So if anybody has any questions on that as well.
Yes.
So what would be your top three things you would say?
Ooh, that's a good one. Just love them. Unconditional love. It's like we put so much pressure on ourselves as caregivers to be perfect. And I think the most important thing to grow their minds is just that unconditional love, that sense of safety and security, so that they'll have the space to do all of these things, to be curious, to have fun, and just to feel secure. Like we need that. And as parents and caregivers, we're the ones to give it to our children. So say that's number one, like above anything, if you're making a decision what to do for the day, just make sure that they're loved. I would agree with the gratefulness, because I think that just, if you can instill that in their little minds and they can grow up that way to look for the good and not the bad, that's life-changing. And the third one, I'm going to go with let them listen to themselves. Let them tune into their bodies and what they need, and we're mind, body, you can't separate the two. So everything that they are thinking is feeding into their body in that constant feedback loop. So I'd say those top three.
I agree. I agree with that. Thank you so much, Bonnie, for hopping on today. As always, you're an amazing person. I am so blessed to have you on my team. And thank you, everybody that joined in to watch. Don't forget, if you do have any questions about raising kids or have any thoughts or just need some help right now, reach out to Coach Bonnie. It's free. So it's a great, and she is a great resource. As you can tell, she has a passion and love for people and being able to help people through goals and just trust me. She's awesome. And with that, I don't see any more questions. So we will end it for the day. But thank you, everybody that joined. Have an awesome and blessed Memorial Day and weekend. Stay safe out there if you're out. So have an awesome day.
Thank you.